So here we are with Candy Babcock for another episode of Lattes with LeeAnn. Today it's Waters with LeeAnn, Canaday Group Waters, in fact. But anyway, we're going to talk again, and we've done this in the past, but things have changed a little bit, and it's actually getting pretty easy around here. We're lucky here, right?
Yes, we are.
So we're going to talk about the new fire laws and the Defensible Space rule and how that comes into play when you sell your home and all those things. So maybe you can talk a little bit about what you're seeing in the industry regarding that, because I know you've made it real easy for us to take care of our job, and thank you for that.
My pleasure. Actually, it started about 2 years ago, and this was the Senate Assembly Bill 38. What this bill required is that any sale of residential property in the state of California, you need to have a defensible space inspection if the property is determined in one of two zones, either the high fire severity zone or the very high fire severity zone. Now, in the past, back at the beginning of time with natural hazard disclosures, the only thing you really needed to disclose was the very high fire severity zone. Because of the tremendous amount of wildfires now it's very high as well. And if the property is determined to be in one of those two zones, you have to have a defensible space inspection done by the fire department. And I know it's a little crazy around a lot of the state, but I have to tell you, here in Orange County, we are so lucky getting this done. We have basically the Orange County Fire Authority does most of the inspections, but then we have our smaller towns like Laguna Beach. They have their own fire department. Newport Beach has their own fire department. Fullerton does. And from what I've heard from all of my agents, they have been phenomenal with getting out there and getting these inspections done. And everybody kind of freaks out about this, but seriously, there's
not us. No. You've helped us. You've trained us. We're good. We're happy.
Seriously, and I have so many agents like you who take the bull by the horns and get this stuff taken care of up front. And that makes all the difference in the world. Now, for example, if it is defensible space, if you call for a defensible space inspection, okay, you want to make sure that the seller understands that what the fire department is looking for is dead or dying vegetation, tree limbs that are too close to the property, any of this stuff that would be a fire hazard. And 9 out of 10 times, I mean, you mow the lawn, you trim the trees, and you pull out the dead and dying vegetation, and you're done. And if the fire department has to come back, they have to come back. And whether or not they charge for that, I honestly don't know, but I know that they don't charge for the original defensible space inspections.
So far, we've never been charged, not in Newport Coast, which is Newport Beach, not in Laguna. So, I mean, those two are really...
They've been good.
They've been good.
Yeah.
So that's where we've seen the most of it, because we have a lot of hills all around, you know, with natural vegetation. Exactly. Whenever you have natural vegetation, that tends to be a fire hazard.
And they are going to be dead and dying at one point in time. And like that's why they need to keep, exactly. And with no rain like we've had, it makes it even worse. But it's just, like I said, you always take the bull by the horns and do all of this information up front, because one of the other considerations, people really need to think about this. If you don't come back and, let's say you're in a high fire severity zone, and then you get your defensible space inspection done and you get your certificate that the property is okay, the next step is going to be insurance. Now, I can't talk to insurance, but I've heard some nightmare stories with either having the hardest time getting it, or number two, what the cost of it is. So those are considerations that you have to keep in mind when those determinations come back as well in one of those two zones.
Right. We haven't had any bad things happen with that yet, but that's always an issue where we'll have a listing and the buyer and buyer's agent do nothing about insurance. We're going, you gotta get your insurance, you gotta get your insurance, and finally they do, but it can be too late sometimes. So yeah, you've gotta be more...
Definitely proactive like you are.
Right, proactive. I was going to say aggressive, but that's the wrong word. Totally, it's proactive. You've got to take care of things in advance, for sure.
You do. Right. And especially in this atmosphere now when we've had no rain, we're in a drought situation, and the insurance companies are tough.
Yes.
So talk about aggressive.
Well, I think they're tough because they've just been hit really hard in Northern California.
Yes.
So we're suffering the ramifications of their issues.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's just, we're very lucky here in Orange County. We have the Orange County Fire Authority. We haven't had any bad fires. We're just lucky.
We are.
You know, people have had, I've heard nightmare stories where it could take 8 to 12 weeks in other parts of the state to get a defensible space inspection. Ours are getting done in 24 to 48, maybe 1 day more hours, which is phenomenal.
LA, I heard, it's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really, if you have a house in LA,
move to the OC.
Move to Orange County. We're much better living down here anyway, right? Well, thank you again for coming. We always enjoy having you on our show. And then if something else comes up where you think we ought to tell the people about it, you give me a call.
You bet I will. Okay. Anytime. Thank you, LeeAnn.
Thank you. Bye.